So in module 8, we'll be covering more about the vSAN security operations. So the main importance of this module is just to understand about the security, how we can implement in vSAN, and why do we need to, to secure our data. From an organization perspective, we should keep the data secure and compliance, and the vSAN primarily offer the data in transit. Data in transit, when we say my data is traveling from one host to another host, and data at rest encryption methodology. Okay, so we can secure both. Again, this module having one lesson, vSAN security operations. That's the primary one. The main objective is just to understand what is data in transit encryption, what is data at rest encryption, then certificate management and configuration, configuring the vSAN encryption, describe the IO flow, how the guest OS to be encrypted data on the respective disk they are using, explore the ESXi host boot up process with the encrypted disks. Okay, so the encryption overview. Encryption is native HCI encryption solution built in with the vSAN layer itself. vSAN encryption feature supports data at rest encryption at the entire data store level. Then support data in transit encryption at network level. When we say my data is traveling, my storage data is traveling between the host. Then this configuration have been done over the cluster level. Support on hybrid and all flash vSAN, both type of cluster. Provide the compatibility with the other vSAN feature. HCI mesh does not support. When I say HCI mesh, if my vSAN data store is shared among multiple vSAN clusters, that time data at rest encryption is not the supported terminology. Okay. So data at rest encryption and vSAN transit encryption are independent from each other. We can enable the individual feature or we can enable both together. So again, for this feature, we require the vSAN Enterprise Plus as a license. So when we say data in transit encryption, it means that whatever the storage data being traveling over the network, all my data is in encrypted format. Okay. So we can enable data in transit or key interval default. After each day, it will create the new key for the data encryption. So encrypt vSAN traffic exchange the vSAN nodes having the following behavior, using the message kind of authentication code to ensure the authentication and integrity, and adopt the native property technique, encrypt the vSAN traffic. Okay. Then how it works, like always a secure handshake have been done between source and the target node where my data is traveling. Okay, create a TLS link between vSAN node intended to exchange the traffic. vSAN node create a shared secret key and attach it to the current session and use this shared secret to establish a secure TLS link and then transfer the data, transfer the storage information over the storage network. So simply the data which is traveling between two nodes, especially for storage one, that is encrypted.
Okay, sir.
Do we need any kind of third-party solution for that? Answer is no. You can natively enable the data in transit encryption. That's an inbuilt feature within vSAN. When we say the DARE refer as data at rest encryption, securely encrypt the data that is being finally data is written inside my cache drive, or the data is being written inside my capacity drive. Okay, so that's we refer as data at rest encryption. Okay, so to use the AES 256 as an algorithm written to the cache and capacity device have the following benefit. It encrypts the data reside on cache and capacity device, support both for all flash and hybrid configuration, eliminates the need of self-encrypted drive that we refer as SED as well. We don't need the self-encrypted drive. So it's the encryption is being taken care by the vSAN feature. It's a validated FIPS standard 140-2, which provide the secure data at rest encryption. So what do we need for it? Require either a key management server, we can use the external KMS server, or we can use the vSphere native key provider. Means the vSphere native key provider is a native encryption feature that is available in your vCenter from 7.2 onwards. And it's again configure at cluster level. Still, you have the choice to use the external KMS server as well. So here is the difference between if we are referring the third party or external KMS server or the vSphere native key provider. External third party solution, it's integrated with my vSphere Enterprise Plus license into vCenter and included all vSphere licenses. Deploy outside of vSAN cluster, it's a kind of a additional appliance. It could be a physical server or a virtual server, key management server that refer the key, and we have to register that KMS server into the vSAN setting inside my vCenter server. No additional hardware software required. Support third-party application that also need the KMS. It means that it's not only like this is the external KMS, wherever the key is required for encrypting the data, we can leverage in multiple places. But it's only support with the vSphere product like virtual TPM, VM encryption, vSAN Air, because it's the internal feature. Support the high availability of KMIP and hardware security module. It means that we can put, for the redundancy purpose, we can put two KMS server kind of as an external. But here it's a native feature that requires the vSphere 7 update 2 or higher version. We can use the native key provider if customer not have the budget. But definitely when we go with the external one, we get some additional security feature and multiple kind of level of security, but that requires some budget and cost. Okay.
Okay, sir. So only for external KMS, we have to go for our
Yeah.
third party tool.
Right. We have to purchase kind of license, how many node we are doing that and all.
Okay, sir.
So the three type of key used in vSAN overall security operation. One is the key encryption key that protect the that encrypt the key which is encrypting the data. One per vSAN cluster used to encrypt the DE key. I mean itself, whatever the key will use for encrypting the data, it will encrypt that key. KEK just encrypting that disk encryption key. Okay. And this KEK is generated by your key management provider. The key management provider could be your external KMS or native key provider. Okay. And disk encryption key, it is one per vSAN disk. One per vSAN disk. Okay. You can see here a KEK is common for all the disk encryption key, but one disk encryption key for each disk separately. Okay. And the one is HEK that we refer as host encryption key. One per vSAN cluster used to encrypt the core dumps of VMware support and key generated by the KMS. Okay. So again, this KMS, what I say, like it's not only for encrypting your vSAN, it also the encrypt of your core dumps or the for the VMware support kind of dumps you want to generate, those can be encrypted by the KMS server. Okay. Here you enable it, password for encrypted the core dumps and the kind of logs you want to in encrypted format, want to send before to VMware, they will decrypt it. Just put the password. Then until unless they will not give the password, they will not be able to read all these dumps that is being created by your vCenter server or by your ESXi host.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so this is bit detailed mechanism how it will do. So configure this security assets the required following procedure. We send a request to KMS server, generate the key encryption key. That is the first step to KMS server. Then this key is being generated and given back to my vCenter server. Then vCenter server send this KEK ID, means the who is the KEK provider. So KEK provider is my again KMS server or NKP. Then my host request to KEK provider and get the disk encryption key, and this disk encryption key uh, be generated separately for each of the disk, like one DEK for this disk, again another DEK would be another disk. Okay, and it will literally start to encrypt the data. Okay, each disk encrypted by unique DEK. The DEK is encrypted by KEK. That's what we have read in the previous slide.
Yes, sir. Yes,
है
sir.
ना? So a
Each one
common,
per disk
yeah,
one.
yeah, a common KEK for encrypting the old DEK, okay, and DEK further separate DEK for each disk, okay. That's what DEK is stored on the cache or capacity tier, and especially for the protection of host dumps, then vCenter request the KMS to generate the host encryption key. Host encryption key, that is altogether separate. That we refer as to protecting the created dumps and logs should be encrypted. Okay, so IO flow, how it will work for the IO flow. Data moves between cache and capacity tier. Data is decrypted. Any flow, when I say flow, whenever my data is traveling from here to here, this is not the encrypted one. Okay, any data will be received by cache tier here. Okay, so data is encrypted and decrypt and encrypt again. Log structure of object manager is the encrypted point. LSOM is my encrypted point. So whatever data been written here in SSD drive, it will be encrypted. Then guest OS send the write to commit to disk. LSOM object manager encrypt the data, and encrypted data is committed to the cache disk. When data need to be destaged, the log structure object manager decrypt the data again, and data is re-encrypted and stored onto the capacity tier. Where is my capacity tier? This is the one. So it will decrypt and it will re-encrypt again, and it will be returned to the capacity tier. Okay, but the data is traveling from here to here. This is the decrypted format. Whenever my data is written from cache to capacity, that is the decrypted format. But the data which is residing inside my cache drive, this is encrypted, then this decrypt again, then it will re-encrypt again and put on the capacity drive. That's the internal mechanism, how it works. So when we say the encryption for host boot up process, how it will do? The following step: host boot up process. Host boots up. Host reaches out of again to KMS server for KEK, and host uses the KEK again for to decrypt the DEK. Disks are mounted and data can be written and read using the disk. Definitely, disk encryption key is the main key which is being done. Okay, so it is just showing whenever my host is boot up, and I have already configured all my setup for the encryption purpose. So what it will do, host boot up, host reaches out to again the KMS server using the KEK request. If doesn't have the KEK, then it will get the KEK from the vCenter server first. है ना? The process what we have seen earlier. Okay.
Yes, sir.
then it will start to, anyway, it's an internal process. We don't need to be worried too much about it. That is being taken care. Then probably you have heard about TPM also. TPM is again the hardware module feature. So whatever the the boot up process is, TPM within vSAN environment has the following feature. TPM is stored in the encryption key locally. When a host boot up, the host pull the key from the TPM and reduces the network communication with the key provider. It means that that key will store into the hardware TPM. TPM is not requirement for the, it's not a mandatory requirement, but it's a recommended one. Okay. If we can integrate with the TPM, but again, especially for the host, which is support a TPM module, a TPM come kind of a chip inside the motherboard of my physical hosts. Okay, that should be available there. So that's why I said TPM is not installed and the KMS is not available, then the host cannot be, can't mount their disk. Why? Because both of the things are not available. Okay, TPM is not and this is not. Okay, if KMS is not available, then the host cannot be mount their disk. The disks will not be visible because of the encryption. So TPM, there is no need of reach out to KMS or NKP to retrieve the KEK, because by default, my KEK will store inside the TPM. Okay. But again, as I said, TPM is not, TPM is recommended, but it is not the mandatory requirement. Okay. So still, if we don't have the TPM, can we use this boot process encryption and all? Yeah, that's altogether possible. But that point of time, whenever my host will boot up, for getting the DEK, he need to contact, for getting the KEK, he need to contact, the particular host need to contact to the KMS server. We good? We are clear?
Yes, sir.
So this is the one where we need to add, we have to register the KMS inside the vCenter server if we are not using the native one. So that point of time you will put FQDN. Okay. Then KMS server IP address and KMS port number here and add the KMS server. So in this way, what we do, we just, it is just a name. You can give any name, kind of external KMS. Here you will give the KMS name, address, and the port number. Port number, I think not shown here, but definitely there should be port number we have to register. Add the key provider. Okay. So multiple KMS provider solutions are available for in the market when you can do. Okay. So this is the way how it's doing the integration. Choose a method, kind of, we can use KMS certificate and private key. After establishing a connection, you need to establish a trust. Okay. Trust between your vCenter server. Okay. And your KMS provider. It could be through the certificate and private key or vCenter certificate or vCenter root CA certificate. Okay, so this is for add native key provider. Native key provider is my inbuilt one, right? This is my inbuilt one, right?
Yes, sir.
And KP is my native. But again, as I said, it is only available from
7 is U2.
update 2, right? Just give the name and use the key provider with the, if your TPM, if your host is TPM enabled, then do it. If no physical TPM device, keep this unchecked. Otherwise, you will you may lose the disks, which is being encrypted, right? So here you will just give the name, and is the, this is the backup. Backup is simple one. It is just you have to give the name, right? Nothing beyond it. In the, if I'll go to the previous slide, just give any name, kind of native key provider 01, that add key provider, it will add your vSphere as a native key provider. Okay. Protect native key provider data with your password then you can give the password. Okay. And I have saved the password in secure place. It means that just copy it and keep a replica of it. Okay. Why? Because whenever you will do a restore of your NKP settings, that password will be required. Means any Excel, any place, anywhere, that is fine. So once you have registered the NKP, then go to configure with your vSAN cluster. Click configure, add it, and add the key provider. Okay. So vSphere NKP, click here, you will get the external else also. And if you want to enable data in transit encryption does not require any kind of key provider. You can enable it directly. Okay. Because this is something, this is just encrypting the data that you are sending and receiving across the ESXi hosts.
Okay, sir. So mainly we'll keep only on data rest encryption.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's matter. If you want to protect your communication,
Okay.
definitely for best practice, we can keep. Okay. ESXi CLI vSAN encryption info-get. If you will run the command, you will see enable true. This is your KEK key ID, host key ID. These are your host key ID. Okay. And this is your detail of the key provider. My default key provider here is the vSphere NKP, but in case you are using some external key provider, you just give, it will show you the key provider details here on each host level. So if you want to encrypt the vSAN core dumps, then you can encrypt that. How will do that? Specific system log to export. You can optionally include the performance data. These are the log bundles. These all are the log bundles. How you will do it? Export system logs. Where you get this export system logs feature?
Right click on the host.
Yeah, absolutely. When you will do right click, you will find the export system logs. And if your KMS or native key provider is uh, integrated, then you can make
Encrypt the password.
password core dumps and you can put that. Whenever anyone will try to open these dump file, what has been created in format, then they have to insert the password to decrypt the dumps. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So this is
Data
generate
rest
new.
encryption management.
Yeah. So their key management. So generate the new key for encryption if you want. Otherwise, it's having policy like when we say the default key will be generated and we can set the key regeneration policy to KMS itself. But if we want to generate new encryption key means especially we are talking about here DEK. From protection point of view, we can regenerate the new data encryption key as well. Disk wiping, this something I have to check. What is this option actually? I'll check and get back to you why we use it.
Okay, no issue.
Okay. So showing all leaking, rotate the KEK, does not change the DEK on the cache and capacity drive. It will only just okay. So this is for not DEK, it is for KEK. It will regenerate the new key and verify the connectivity of KMS or NKP and replaces the KEK if we are using the TPM module as well. Okay. So a deep recay is an intensive operation. Deep recay moves all data of the disk by decrypting the data and re-encrypting the data. This setting is found under the, again, if we want to decrypt and re-encrypt the data, the deep recay operation destroy and recreate the disk group and does not following and does the following: rotate the KEK, DEK, decrypt and encrypt all data, initiate the DFS and replaces all my KEK in the TPM. Okay. but re-encryption temporarily decrease the performance. Definitely it will. We have to wait because it will decrypt all the data and it will re-encrypt all the data again. Okay, so it what it will do, deep recap moves all the data of disk. First it will by decrypting the data and re-encrypting the data. This setting is found under this again when we will regenerate the key. Okay, so when we say here is an option allow reduced redundancy, what it means that actually allow reduced redundancy means if my data is being sent to another host and I don't have the sufficient host that point of time, so we can still survivable with the required host where it is not fulfilling the redundancy requirement. It means that, like for an example, for some policy I required 4 hosts plus 1 host, like some encryption decryption is happening here. The moment it's want to use another host, but another host is not available, we have to survive with the available host only. Then we can check just allow reduced redundancy option. Within the available nodes, it will manage the data. Okay, so operational impact, encrypted and unencrypted vSAN data store use different disk format. On new vSAN cluster, the appropriate disk format is selected automatically, but an existing vSAN cluster required disk format to be changed. Consider the following points before enabling. Ensure the sufficient capacity to perform the disk evacuation. First, it will evacuate the disk, then write it back kind of encrypted data. Ensure that no sync operation that point of time, no other resync operation should happen. All my cluster in healthy state. Schedule the encryption activation outside of production hour. Definitely it may take the hours time. Okay. So anytime, any type of encryption we want to enable, just do it on the off-peak hours during weekends or something like that. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So what we read, enabling data in transit, explain the data at rest encryption, certificate management configuration, configuration the encryption, IO flow from the guest operating system, and ESXi host boot up process with the encrypted disks. Okay. But again, these are not the boot disk encryption. Keep in mind, there is no encryption on the boot disk. Okay. So because by nature, my boot up process itself pretty much secure within ESXi. They use the number of technologies where my ESXi is pretty much secure. But yeah, especially for TPM, if we want to utilize TPM for boot up process also, we can enable that. So encryption require ongoing operations to maintain a secure environment. You must permission to restrict access of encrypted data, and rotating key and certificate is a best practice to maintain the high level of security at a regular time interval. Okay. We'll be doing some labs around it. Don't worry about that. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Because it's not much bigger. Just we have to enable some of the options that will do once Banu will be back. Their setup will do that. And definitely there should be some HOL available then where we can do the security operations. Please check the vSAN HOL. There, I believe there is some chapter for security operations as well. From there, you can check the, the available settings.
Yes, sir. Sure.
Okay.